You're still watching Sunrise at Sea here on CTV. Welcome to Twitter Jabs 2. My name is Agi Owase, and we are continuing the conversation on the National Budget Month financial year 2022-2023, which commenced yesterday on the 17th of May 2022 at the Uganda Media Center. And it was, officiated by the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and that is Honorable Matia Kasaija. And there were keynote speakers, and one of them being the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, and that is Mr. Ramadan Gobi. And joining me on this conversation today, to deliberate more and give us more insight in regard to the National Budget Month for the financial year 2022-2023 is none other than Mr. Shaka Isaac, and that is a Communications Officer from the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, as well as Miss Akelo Juliet, who is an economist and works with the Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Good morning.
Well, for my first question, and this is to you, Mr. Shaka, in your perspective, what is the National Budget Month, and what are its impacts on, Uganda and the budget as well?
Thank you, Agi, and good morning, viewers. First of all, I would like to appreciate for this opportunity to host us here, to share with the public and enlighten them so that they can move along with us. Ashaka is my name, from Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. Communication is my office. That's why I sit at that ministry. When you talk about a National Budget Month, the question is, what is it? To our viewer, National Budget Month, it is an activity that lies in Ministry of Finance, but it is not a Ministry of Finance activity alone. Ministry of Finance spearheading that activity due to our mandate. Now that we are finishing the financial year and we are entering in another financial year, it is a good culture to go back, because our the person we serve would like to understand really what are these people doing. We hear budgets, we hear economy, we hear planning, but what is it? Right here this morning, would like to tell you that is an activity. And that activity came in place purposely to have the public know exactly what government is doing. As a strategic ministry in this government, we have that mandate to call upon almost everybody that gets money from consolidated fund. Because that money, it is a Ugandan money. For us, we are just stewards. In fact, the Bank of Uganda is the steward, but we are policy makers together with Bank of Uganda, because Bank of Uganda is under Minister of Finance. We take care of the resources, and we have to go back to the public and to account, to involve them, to show them what we have done, what the man has done. And why we do go back to the public, it is to seek for their intervention. That yes, we have allocated this, we have been doing this. Is it the best we can continue with, or there is where we can alter so that we can benefit? Probably that's what I can talk about the National Budget Month and its objective. The objectives are quite many. Accountability is part of it. Because if you really trusted me with your resources, you'd like to know how I have utilized your resources. So far, that's what we're doing.
Okay, and to you, Ms. Juliet, as an economist, would like to know from you, what can you talk about in regard to the financial year 2022-2023 budget as a country, as we strive, to revive ourselves from the aftermaths of the COVID-19 and recovering the economy as well?
Thank you, Agi, and thank you for hosting me. I think it's my first time to be on CTV. I would say that drawing from what Shaka has said, the budget is something that affects everyone in this country. And that is why the Ministry of Finance annually has to look back into the books to give an accountability of what they have used the money for the previous financial year, even as they plan for the next financial year. It is an annual event. It is an annual activity. It is a process. And given that it's a process, citizens are actually mandated to be part of this process. The only challenge we have had is that maybe the awareness has not been going on so well, and that is why the budget month activities come aboard. And as we are doing the budget month activities, it is mainly to create awareness, to enable citizens be able to own the budget, but also to enable them participate, to call upon them to participate, and then later government has to account. Citizens have to hold government to account for the whole financial year, whatever they have been doing, using this, the resources. Now, when we talk about the financial year budget 2022-2023, we know that the process begins right from around July of a calendar year until June. That is when the financial year ends of the next calendar year. And so, of course, the financial year budget 2021-22 is coming to a close. And these activities that we are doing are to prepare us for the budget reading of 2022-2023. And of course, all discussions right now will have to gear towards that particular budget. But the far we have come is that there has been processes happening all through from the month of about September last year until now. And the budget month actually heightens all those processes that have been happening. We always have the budget conference. We have districts doing their budget conferences. We have sub-counties doing their sub-county budget conferences. Then we have engagement with Parliament when the national budget framework papers are brought out. Then at the time when the ministerial policy statements, all these are spaces for citizens to actually participate. And so when we come to the budget month, national budget month, it's just to heighten. It's a consolidated kind of initiative to encompass all these and then to conclude on the national, on the financial year activity, budget activities.
Yes.
Now, talking about the budget for financial year 2022-23, yes, and drawing from the national budget framework papers, drawing from the ministerial policy statements, I mean, this budget is still in discussion, okay? It is still in discussion. I remember when the national budget framework papers came out in December last year, we were talking about an amount of about 42 trillion shillings. Now, recently in Parliament, a budget of about 47 trillion shillings was presented. Now, that tells you that there are still changes that are going on, and so we do not know exactly what will be read at the reading of the budget. Why? Because these changes happen for the reason that there are usually assumptions that are made as they are preparing the budget in terms of projections, how much we are going to, what amount of revenue mobilization we are going to have, what are the risks, how are we going to manage the risks, what about donor funding, grants, all these, are put into consideration. So throughout this period, these are the loopholes that the ministry is trying to plug to ensure that by the time of the reading, they're at least at a higher percentage of being able and confident to tell the public that this exactly is what we are going to have as the budget. So as of now, discussions are going on, confirmations are going on, and the amount of the budget shall be later gotten to and communicated to the public.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for that submission. Yesterday, at the commencement of the National Budget Month for the financial year 2022-2023, some activities, as you talked about, were highlighted that will be, taking place throughout the entire month. Now, this is to you, Mr. Shaka, as a communications officer in the Ministry of Finance. Would like you to tell us in detail what are those particular activities that will be taking place in this month to involve and include Ugandans in the whole budget process, and letting them understand the allocations in regard to the budget.
Thank you, Aggie. I appreciate my colleague. When we talk about that our budget is collaborative and inclusive, this is what we mean. My colleague she has really explained very well. That shows that we have included the public, because she represents the civil society public, that side. And despite the fact that we are working with the public to actualize what you have heard, it is the transparency we are talking about in budgeting. Now, she has told you a number of engagements we are always having at the budget preparations. But maybe something very small to add on that for the public to understand. The budget of Uganda, it is under consultation. We do consultation at all levels. She has told you the budget workshops, the budget conferences. What I would like to add on that, it is the Economic Growth Forum. I'm sure you've heard about that engagement.
Yes.
It is the platform where the ministry gets the players to contribute on the next budget. Then we have also missions consultation. Those that are outside, they come up with their view and their plans, and we incorporate them. So we have finalized that planning at the Ministry of Finance so that we come up with the budget as she has told you. But as of now, the budget is still underway, but it's almost complete. We have provisional figures, but we don't want to attach ourselves so much to those provisional figures. Let us wait. When you give us an opportunity at the D-Day, we shall come back here and we give you details. However, you asked me a question about the activities we are doing. Thank you so much for that question. To begin with, we started with the launch. I'm sure CTV is part of the media houses that always support our activities. We have always seen you guys, and we appreciate you for that. We started with the launch, and in the launch, we initiated and we started to show the public that this is underway. The budget month started. What does it mean? A lot is going to be happening from now up to when the budget is going to be read. We are still having, when you look at the East African Agreement, Community Agreement, we are looking forward to have our budgets read at the same day, on the 14th. But we had a provision date, and that one may change according to the East African campaign, so that we read our budget at the same day and we analyze them together. The next activity we are doing, it is the tree planting, and it is on this Friday. We are going to be having it at Imperial Botanical Resort. Why we zeroed up to that place, it is the center whereby we think that we can engage and then sit in the room, not only planting trees, but we are going to be looking at how we can mitigate the climate issues. And from that activity, we shall have started also to have this campaign across the country. We are not doing it at Entebbe alone, but we have identified specific places whereby we would like to. And not only those places we look at to plant trees, but we find there people, we teach and we show how we can preserve the environment. And this time, as we are trying to plant the trees, up countries, we are engaging schools. Why schools? Because we have to have a good environment. But we would also to look at these young people and to teach them the importance of what? Keeping the environment safe and preserving the environment. Then our next activity, before I go to the next activity, we have this is an activity we are doing. We are always out there in the media to continue talk about the budget, to continue let people understand this budget and know where opportunities lies for them. So it is our mandate. You remember earlier on, our budget used to be, Our budget used to be read and people switch on their radios and listen. But things have changed. We have over active 47 television channels. We have over 100 radio stations. So it is upon us to make sure that we use this media outlet to make sure that instead of just sitting on the radio, even before we read the budget, you know what is coming. Now, what we are trying to show you is that the budget is underway and the focus areas are very clear.
Yes.
You know them in peace, socio-economic transformation, industrialization is underway, agro-industrialization, ICT, innovation and science. The priorities are around there, not forgetting the human capital development. Because when you talk about health and the education, say, oh, what are you saying? It is under human capital, but it's huge. And that one is helping us because now I have one word that can represent a number of areas and people understand. When you talk about human capital development, that's why we have the social aspects, this education and health. But I don't want to lag over there. What I'm telling you is that initially the budget was to sit on the radio and listen. How much is the sugar? How much have you? No. But this time around, we analyze it.
And involving the public
now,
as well.
taxes. Parliament is still finalizing on the taxes, not on the new taxes, but trying to bring compliance, trying to see that at least all of us we pay tax and the public benefit from the tax. That's what Parliament is trying. It's a little huge, but that's how I can explain it. But they are trying to come up with something that can be inclusive, all of us to pay tax and benefit from it. Then the next activity, which is the blood transfer, we are going to donate blood. We looked at those activities because they really touch us. Because the environment, you remember the floods that had come? Some of the things as a result of depleting the environment. So we are going back there to say, oh guys, this is what we need to do. Then when it comes to blood, of recent, the reports that are coming from Ministry of Health when it comes to blood were not good. Blood was getting low. And when people were in lockdown, no one would give blood. But we thought that it is a good activity and we need it to call upon people to come and donate blood so that we can save more lives. Then finally, we shall be having the post-budget activities.
Yes.
The post-budget activities, like I told you, if you give us opportunity, we shall come back here and we detail the budget. And we say, now this much is going into this area. Purposely, what we are targeting here, it is this and to change this. The post-budget activities, those are still engagements of really getting ideas. Because when we read the budget, it does not stop there. That for us we have come, we read the budget and we leave it. No. Like she told you, after reading that budget, we begin to prepare another budget. And within that very budget, you've heard about supplementary adjustments and some of the changes that have come around. You'll agree with me, not only Uganda, countries read their budgets, but you can't use 100% of your budget, or you cannot get 100% of your budget. It's the same with us. That is what we focus to, and according to our plans. But when we get surplus, again we communicate. It's not that finance can just get, no. I mean in correction or the income.
Yes.
We take it back in Parliament and it appropriates. Then, but when it is not enough, again we come back and we explain that we have this deficit. We expected to meet it through here, but due to the challenges, now for instance, the last 2 years, did you know that we shall have COVID? No. Even right now, we don't know what is coming. But we are in place to make sure that we are efficient in our planning and execution.
Yes. And I feel that is very commendable in the fact that you're involving Ugandans and, Ugandan citizens in the whole budget process. And on that matter, I'd like to ask you, Ms. Juliet, as an economist, what do you think, what would you say in your perspective is the obligation of Ugandans in regard to the National Budget Month, the whole entire process?
Ugandans should know that they are mandated to actually participate in government affairs by the Constitution. And when you look at Article 38 of the Constitution, it gives Ugandans that mandate. Now, from my position as a civil society actor, and specifically CSBAG, we do mobilization of citizens to actually participate in government processes. And to be very specific, to monitor the mobilization of resources, how it is being utilized, and how it is being accounted for. They have to hold government accountable. Our participation in this process, like I indicated earlier, we do a lot of participation right from the beginning when the budget process is starting. There's a national budget conference that the Ministry of Finance takes lead on in terms of inviting different categories of citizens to come and listen to the budget strategy that the ministry has for the country. What is in this strategy? These are priorities and programs that the ministry has for the next financial year's budget. That is what I said starts around September. So, like Shaka said, after the reading of the budget, they begin planning for 2023, 2024. And within that period, many times, most citizens are not aware this is happening. And I think we need to amplify that. So participation goes a long way from that time on up to around this time until the reading of the national budget.
Yes.
So in this whole process, citizens are mandated. There are spaces where citizens can participate. I talked of the district budget conferences. These conferences are at the district level for those that can access the district. The district gives them an opportunity, gives citizens an opportunity to come and share their views. Of course, they have to be in an organized manner. You let the district know that you want to participate so that you are put on the program. Then you will tell the district what the priorities that you feel should feed into the next year's budget are. But it doesn't start from there. Planning starts right from the local level. Sub-county conferences are held. Planning begins right from the village. So a citizen cannot say, I can't participate because these things are held at the sub-county, they are held at the district, they are held at the national level. No. The only thing that citizens need to do is to find out what spaces they can participate in. Because at the village level, at the parish level, at the sub-county level, they can participate at that level. Have village meetings. When the cycle starts, maybe they also do not know the cycle when they are supposed to participate. That is something that maybe the ministry needs to amplify. That at this point in time, you can participate at this forum. At this point in time, you can participate. So that at all levels, citizens are actually involved. And so when it comes to the district, then it now turns back to the parliamentary level at the when all districts have consolidated their budgets with civil society and citizens input into it. Of course, you cannot say all citizens' priorities will actually be taken on. The resource envelope is not sufficient, usually. And so even if there is a wish list, the budget can only accommodate priorities that government thinks these will serve the population. And it does not stop us from bringing the same or the things that were not taken on the previous time, bringing them back again. Because it's like, if a community needs a water source, and indeed there is a health center which does not have delivery beds, but there is an alternative for a water source, what usually happens is they will weigh which one is most needed, health or you do the water, which has an alternative. So they'll realize that health, you need to keep life.
Yes.
So, and the prioritization comes on board. The budget is also a competitive kind of, policy.
It definitely is.
So priorities compete. So once they have done that, doesn't mean that next year I cannot bring in back the issue of water. So citizens have to continuously raise up their voices of the services that they need. And so government will pick it up. So as CS BAG specifically, that is what we do. We rally citizens to be able to participate in the budget process. And coming back to the budget month, the budget month, National Budget Month activities started in 2018.
Yes.
When it started in 2018, it was just a
week,
trial,
yes.
kind of, do a budget week. Yeah. But as we went on progressing, we realized that, okay, there are many things that we can do within the budget week, which requires a longer period. Yes. And that is when we termed it the budget months, just to accommodate most of those activities. And within those activities, within the preparation of the budget month, there are several players whom we have seen that have been coming on board. Of course, Ministry of Finance takes lead. Then we partner with them as civil society, as private sector. I don't know if I could name the people who are involved in this particular. Yeah, of course, there is the Ministry of Finance at the top. There is Bank of Uganda. There is URA. There is Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group. There is ACCORD. There is Siatini. This time we have on board WULGA, Uganda Local Government Association. This time with the tree planting, we have National Forestry Authority. With the blood donation, we have Uganda Blood Transfusion Services. And so every year, we see partners coming on board. And that is participation, okay? By the time we are going to do tree planting, we are already involving citizens. By the time we are calling for blood donation, we are already involving citizens. And this is to open up their minds that they should participate, they should hold government accountable, they should be able to monitor what government is actually implementing so that they are able to ask government the questions that they are supposed to ask. They are being taxed. Where is their money going? And so this is a period, this is a forum where citizens can ask government the hard questions, and government needs to give them feedback of what they have used their monies.
Yes. Now, having understood the whole budget month process, fast forward to, because you talked about, Mr. Shaka, earlier you talked about one of the activities is post-budget dialogues. So I'd like to ask you, in the event that, a certain section of the public does not agree with, say, some of the allocated budget that's allocated to certain sectors, is there a way that this can be changed in the budget dialogues? Can it be changed?
Thank you so much for that question. But every time you're asking me a question, from where I'm coming from, there is something I would like to clarify. Thank you, Juliet. Juliet really did a good job. Because this has to get clear. It is accountability. You're not accounting to Ministry of Finance. I mean, this is a government activity led by Ministry of Finance.
Yes.
Purposely, one, to engage the public to know their budget. If we're engaging the public to know their budget, meaning that there are previous budgets, like she explained, we expect accountability. Finance doesn't have all the accountabilities. No. It is a government activity where finance, under its mandate, under the mandate of Minister of Finance, for to bring you in camera and say, where roads, you got 40, you got over these trillions, okay? It is this time, transport, to come on board and come here and say, okay, in the previous financial year, this is how much we got, and this is how much we did. That is our main objective.
Yes.
In a simple term, they say okulabisa, not kulabisa. But guys are like, a budget of 47, what is it doing? No. By the way, we are trying to be realistic in this. If we really get that money, we need to show people where that money has gone. It's not just a matter of sitting and allocating, what has it done? So that's why we are getting these people and say, okay, you come on board. We have the barazas, like she has explained. Yes, we still have challenges of learning those people in how they can come and bring their ideas and then we incorporate those ideas. But then to go to your question, I hope this is very clear.
Yes.
Accountability in the national budget month, it is a government, not only the few areas she has explained. Like when you see the line where she's coming from the private sector, it is still under Minister of Finance. But they are interventions government has done. And we would like to know how are they performing. Not us Minister of Finance, but the public would like to know. When you talk about an intervention like Emyoga, how has Emyoga performed? We go back to the people. People are going to call in this show and say, no, that thing is for you. Then we understand, okay, maybe that was a wrong, okay, it could be a good program, but the operationalization. So, like, I'm trying to answer your question.
Yes,
when you go to an intervention like Small Business Recovery Fund, that one sits under Bank of Uganda. That's why we have Bank of Uganda on board. They've got to come. In fact, they were supposed to be part of this show to tell us that, okay, ever since we started that initiative, this is the match we have done.
Yeah.
This is how many people have got that money, and this is how that money is working. Because it's a partnership. Government of Uganda, through Minister of Finance, Bank of Uganda, and the commercial banks. They bring 100 billion, the government bring 100 billion, getting it to 200 billion, and we begin with that to see how it can. The minister told the public clearly, because I was always with him, that that is not enough, but we are going to add on. This is a pilot.
Yes.
Then we got other interventions like agriculture creative facility, still under Bank of Uganda. How has it benefited? Because government allocated that money there. Come to the issue of Uganda Development Bank. There is money to make sure that businesses recover. Come to UDC. There is money to see that, because those are the channels government has to use, because government is not going to bring money on individuals. We have to use the institutions that are under the law to make sure that we deliver. So we want people to come and say, UDB has not helped us. We don't want it to come from finance, because we'll be like we are against our own, because UDB is under Minister of Finance. But we would like to know how we can improve and put things right. Because when we are in the walls where we sit in our offices, we have ideas. But when we get your ideas and the public, we work together and we do something very good.
Yes.
So far, that is the direction we are trying to take. Have I answered part of your question?
Yes. Just for clarity, so you mean that in the post-budget dialogue, the members of the public can, come on and talk about, give their opinions in regard to the budget allocations?
Thank you so much. The major reason as to why we're here for that.
Yes.
And when we get those good plans, I may not say thinking and no, because they are the people that are benefiting in these resources.
Yes.
Our work, it is to capture those ideas, and then we make sure that we provide for them in the best way.
Yes.
Because someone can raise something that is of short term, and someone can raise something when he doesn't know what government is doing. But again, it is our work also to make sure that whatever we are doing, we tell the public. And that's why I'm saying we appreciate you guys. Yeah. Because now we are trying to tell the public. If publics have where money should go, that one we do it 100%.
Yes.
Why? This one I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you in a research. We realize that the levels of poverty are going high. And why? Because some people things are taken away because of poverty. For instance, when someone is going to borrow, how can you tell me that I give you a cow and you give me a rabbit? So government came up with those initiatives to answer that question, that to reduce on these levels of poverty, we need to make sure that we provide finances, and then to make sure that we actualize the economy and people can find easy access to capital so that they are able to do business, than using your land to get 10 million, and when you fail to get the 10 million and they take your land, and then if you have been 5% poor, you are just going to be 100% poor.
Well, we could continue with this conversation, but thank you so much for that submission. And as we wrap up the conversation, I'd like to get your parting shots, starting with you, Ms. Juliet, in regard to the National Budget Month 2022.
Yeah, maybe to add on to first what he has said, in the post-budget, many times the ministry, government, I would say ministries, government in a whole, wants to hear what are the feelings of the public about the budget. What do they have in there to benefit? Can I identify an opportunity? But partly it is to give feedback to government on what exactly could be considered in the next budget. Because after the budget is read, that is passed.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that it is static. Doesn't mean that nothing can be flexible. Government will listen to these ideas as they go along. Those that can be implemented as they go along through implementation of that particular budget, they are able to address, okay?
Yes.
But it is mainly to also support them, understand what the public wants for the next budget, but also to clarify several other things that were not clear to the public. In terms of my parting shot, for us in the civil society arena,
Yes.
we are like the voices of the people who are in the villages who really cannot come to these spaces. Because we reach them based on the areas where we operate, we pick their views and then present it to government at whatever level, be it sub-county level, be it the district level. There are certain interventions that can be managed at sub-county level, okay? Issues to do with transparency. We know that transparency is a critical issue, even at the sub-county level. What do I mean? If you went to a health center, budget information is supposed to be displayed. This is public information. How much has a health center received? How much has been spent? You go to a school. We know that UPE schools are supposed to display, these are government entities, they're supposed to display information. What is your enrollment? How much did you receive this term? How much have you spent? Just a display is enough, because then that is transparency. And all these activities that we are doing, we are saying, okay, previously government budget process would be a secretive thing. People would just wake up and, oh, today the minister is reading the budget. But today, we know that citizens have that capacity to ask, how have you used the budget? How have you, why is it that you are not giving us information? There are places where we have gone to and citizens are empowered. It starts from empowering them.
Yes.
When you empower them, then they will begin asking the critical questions. Then when you come to the district level, the districts have notice boards. There is public information that they hold that they're supposed to display. Be it budget, be it procurement, whatever it is. And in places where we have been, where we have worked, we have empowered citizens to do that. And they are doing exactly that. And that's why they are able now to participate in the process at that level.
Yes.
But getting back to the budget, National Budget Month, what you call parting shot is, for me, having participated in this process for the last 5 years. 5 years has been a long time. And knowing that we went through the period of COVID, but of course within the 5 years, I think we need to sit down and evaluate the budget month, the National Budget Month activities.
Yes.
What have we achieved from 2018 up to 2019? And to what magnitude? Where haven't we done well? What can we improve? You know, what are the challenges? Who are the other stakeholders whom we can bring on board so that we are able to move along? Because much as the named people that I named, the institutions that I named are on board, it has been incremental. It started with about three institutions: Ministry of Finance, Ministry, URA, CSBAG, Accord, ODI, I mean, we have seen many people come on board, but can we map out who else do we need? Because while for us, what we see is there has been increased participation with, of course, the increasing number of partners. But we know that these partners reach different citizens, okay? So who else reaches citizens that we can bring on board? Because the budget is their budget. The budget is something that affects them. Because when allocations have gone to education, to health, to roads, it is for the citizens, it's not for government.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it is up to us to see that this information reaches everyone. Government is transparent enough to give whatever information in the most simplified way that citizens can read and understand to enable them hold government accountable. So for me, it is about evaluating the journey we have walked until now to inform the next period of movement.
Well, thank you so much for that submission. And to you, Mr. Shaka, in the interest of time, briefly give us your parting shot in regard to the National Budget Month.
First of all, I would like to encourage Ugandans to support and participate in government initiatives.
Yes.
Then two, I appreciate the media, but I would like to call upon the media to really disseminate this information to the public, meaning that continue as much as possible to come and work with us. Because I believe you are the fourth estate, and even if CSBAG is doing a lot, or Minister of Finance is doing a lot, without you, we don't have the best way to reach the public, to get those ideas, and then we have something that is unison, or we are implementing together. The last one that I did not talk about, which is very, very important now, we have the PDM. It is one of the programs that is well packaged, and preparations are made clear. Most of the things we have talked about in this program, they are just intros, but they're huge. For instance, if we are here to talk about parish development model, it's quite a big program, and I'm sure people benefit from these communications because they get to know that, okay, this is the direction of government. I'll give you an example of a Myoga where people say, that is their money. No, it's not the case, because people never understood. That's why we need the media on board. When you find time, we can have such topical issues, such that people can get enlightened.
Yes.
PDM, it is a program of extending the finances down. Not that is going to be managed at the center, no. Not only finances, but service delivery. Because when you talk about PDM, people only know money. That there is only money for PDM, let us wait for that. It is not only money, but it is the way government is looking forward to include the last person. And that's why we're having the Parish Development Committee down. Not any civil servant, not a cow. It is that committee that's going to make sure that they manage their affairs. To answer the question of when public, no, for what you are doing for us, we don't like. This time, they are going to be doing what they like. Because they have the resources, they have the administration, they have the support from the government. Then we want to see how best they can implement that.
Yes.
We thank you. We appreciate for this moment. We are looking forward to you should move with us in the next arrangement of our activities. The tree planting, the blood donation, and then these media engagements. Then there is what they call service excellence. That activity is together with the budget reading, whereby we are coming to see the performers of the government and those who have underperformed, and we appreciate them.
Yes.
At Kololo, so we call upon you to come along with us as we do this business of government.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much for joining us and also for giving us this insight in regard to the National Budget Month 2022-2023. And that has been Mr. Shaka Isaac, and is a communications officer from the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, as well as Ms. Juliet Akello, who is an economist working group. And that wraps up what we had for you on the Twitter Jabs today. But do not go anywhere. Coming up is a wellness, beauty and lifestyle segment, and we are talking about relationship wellness. This is Sunrise at Sea. Don't blink.